Alright guys, since the beta for version 6.3 is going to start very soon, let's take a look at everything we know about Columbina and her playstyle so far. Not only are we going to talk about all of the misinformation that has been going around about her, but we're also going to take a look at what she's actually going to do in-game and how useful she will be as a character overall. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. First of all, before we start, if you want to pull for Columbina like me and possibly get a free Welkin, let me introduce you to my new partner, rushbuy.gg. It is a very trusted and safe way to top up at a much cheaper price. I've personally tried it and I can confirm that it's safe to use. If you want to top up, you can also use my code to get an additional 15% discount. All you have to do is to enter your UID plus the server that you play on, and it will arrive on your account within 5 minutes. And for those of you who are worried about getting banned or something, it's not gonna happen. They're using official authorized top-up services, and as I said, I've used it myself and I had a very good experience with it, so there's no need to worry. But we're also giving away 10 free Welkin moons, and all you need to do for that is to be subscribed, create a free Rushbuy account, copy your own Rushbuy UID, and then simply comment your Genshin UID, Rushbuy UID, and the server that you play on. The winners of the giveaway will be revealed in 7 days from now, so good luck. And now let's get back to the video. Alright, first things first, we have to clear up all of the misinformation that has been going around about her, and trust me guys, there's a lot of it. Let's start with all of the artifact set leaks. Bro, all of them are just random guesses and have nothing to do with Columbina. In fact, she probably won't even get a dedicated artifact set in version 6.3 because Archons always use one of the first 2 artifact sets that come out with the new region. That's why Nahida uses Deepwood, Furina uses Golden Troop, and Mavuika is using Obsidian Codex. None of these Archons receive a dedicated artifact set when they're being released. They always use the artifact set that first comes out with the new region, so that players can actually pre-farm them. And I know Columbina is technically not an Archon because Notcry doesn't have one, but she functions as the replacement for the Archon of Notcry anyway, so she might not have the title of an Archon, but Hoyoverse still treats her like one. This means that even if a new artifact set does come out in version 6.3, she most likely won't be using it anyway. Another thing that I keep seeing all over YouTube and other platforms is people claiming they know her entire kit. This is simply just not possible. Even if you somehow work at Hoyoverse and know the current version of her kit, it's going to change completely throughout the 6.3 beta anyway. The biggest rumor about Columbina that has been going around, for example, is that she will provide a 50% lunar reaction damage increase, a 50% attack bonus, and increase interruption resistance of Hydro, Electro, and Nemo, and Dendro characters, all while being at C0. This might be the most delusional take I have ever seen. And I'm also 100% sure that those are just random guesses. Like, let's be honest guys, literally anyone would be able to come up with this. And what makes this even worse is that the source for this leak is not reliable at all. The person who came up with this is called 37, and they have another leak about Columbina where they claim that she will be a main DPS. If there's one thing I can guarantee you guys, it's that she won't be a DPS at C0. With Constellations, sure, I agree, but she will not be a DPS at C0. It just won't happen. Now, if she's not a DPS, then what exactly is she going to be useful for? Well, this is where it starts to get really interesting. As most of you guys probably already know, at C0, she will mainly be a support in lunar reaction based teams. And not just for Flints and Nefer, but for all of the lunar reaction based teams in general. You can kind of think of it like Furina when she first came out, right? Columbina will be the #1 support when it comes to lunar reaction based teams. So in like Nefer teams, for example, instead of having to use Ino, we will obviously be using Columbina. Now, this is where Columbina's element comes into play. Since Columbina is going to be a Hydro Catalyst user, a lot of people started speculating if she will introduce a new lunar-based reaction. And while she may not introduce a new reaction herself, she will most likely be the main support for every lunar-based reaction that gets introduced later on. And speaking of lunar reactions, there's a very specific screenshot going around claiming that there's gonna be lunar reactions with Geo and Emo, Pyro, and Cryo, But what a lot of people don't realize is that this information comes from Uncle K. And just like the source I mentioned earlier, he's not reliable at all. So when it comes to lunar reactions, the only thing we can say for sure is that all of them seem to be based on transformative reactions like bloom and electrocharge. This means that there's a very high chance for us to get more lunar reactions based on something like shattered or superconduct. There's also a decent chance for us to get some sort of lunar-based reaction with Geo, since Sandrone will be a Geo character, but that's honestly just speculation. Anyway, for now it seems like Columbina will be pretty much restricted to lunar-based reaction teams at C0, and just like every other Archon, the more constellations you get, the more you can use her as a main DPS and use her in way more different team comps. And I'm gonna be honest guys, I'm not so sure if that's a good or a bad thing, because on one hand, it obviously makes sense that she's tied to lunar-based reaction teams, right? But on the other hand, I'm kind of disappointed because it really restricts how creative you can get in terms of team building. But now, let's take a look at the visual aspect of her gameplay and what kind of attacks she could possibly be using. Now, as I said earlier, Columbina will mainly be a support, and the crazy part is that we can even see her function as a support in the Archon quest. Of course, her playable version won't have the exact same animations as in these cutscenes, but there's definitely some really important details in there that kind of give us a glimpse of how Columbina's gameplay could possibly look like. During her fight against Rerir, for example, we can see how she traps him by using the energy she stole from him. And this might just be limited to this cutscene, but it could also mean that she will have the ability to trap enemies and restrict their movement. I don't think we've ever seen a character do that before, so it's definitely possible that she will be able to do that. That aside, we can also see Columbina open up a portal completely by herself, and my theory is that she will have a burst animation in which she will enter like an alternate dimension during her burst animation, just like Arlecchino when she pulls up that Crimson Moon. When it comes to Columbina's attack moveset, however, we can see that she uses a lot of those water attacks that look pretty similar to what Rerir does with his hands, except that Columbina is obviously using water for it. And considering she's a catalyst user, it's actually very likely that her moveset will look pretty similar to the attacks that she uses in this cutscene. And one more thing that we actually see her doing very often that for some reason no one talks about is teleportation, as well as flying at incredibly high speeds. I know this is kind of a crazy take, but hear me out. I think she will have some sort of teleportation in her kit. I'm not sure how exactly they will include that, but they will definitely include it in some type of way. I'm pretty sure about that. Anyway, one thing we can say for sure is that Columbina will have one of the best, if not the best animations in the entire game. And since she's an Archon and one of the most anticipated characters of all time, it's pretty much guaranteed that she will be an absolutely insane character. With that being said, make sure to join my Discord to not miss out on any new information. Make sure to check out Rushby if you're planning to pull for Columbina just like me. And as always, I wish everyone a nice and wonderful day.